And I believe we're live. Greetings and salutations. I'm Moonthought Neverborn, the abyss that slumbers, and this is Eldritch Rants on Mad Dodge's stream because my stream is apparently completely borked. Can't figure out what's going on, so I'm probably going to have to redo something from the ground up this weekend. But in the meantime, we're going to start over scratch here. So, hey, we're going to skip the big long intro. Farty's here. We got Gwendy for a while. Hey, it's been a while. And, of course, Mad Dodge, since it's his place. Thanks for helping out, Mad Dodge. It's appreciated.
Anytime, buddy.
Okay. We're going to skip over. Oh, anybody want to mention anything before we get going? All right, the usual then. Okay, moving straight in. We're going to go back. I'm going to start over at the beginning here. We're dealing with Kavanaugh. I'm sure everybody's heard about this and their mother. I'm kind of disgusted by the whole thing, and it's not for the reason that most people think. I'm mostly disgusted the way this woman has been treated. And it's not entirely about how she was treated 36 years ago. It's how she's being treated now. We're going to start with the nature. We're going to do this chronologically. So I suspect from watching her testimony that she had some severe trauma quite a long time ago. And even in her testimony, at one point, she says that this act added to her PTSD. Now, I want to know is what PTSD she had before the alleged incident with Kavanaugh happened. And I have a feeling I know what it is, because when I was watching her testimony, she had this tendency, like there were two different personalities. She would revert back to an almost childlike state. Her voice would become higher pitched. She'd gain these body-like mannerisms that almost seemed like she was like a 14, 15-year-old, like she was a little girl again. But then when you switch to other topics, she'd snap back to something normal. And then she kind of try to have this nervous laughter that she had about him. And it made a lot of people think, oh, look, she's trying to gain sympathy by acting like a little girl. And then, this nervous laughter proves that she's lying. And actually, that would be the exact opposite of what I was thinking. We're going to start off with, I've seen that behavior before. In fact, we have a client here. I'm not going to give any details about that. But basically, when trying to remember the individual trauma, there's this tendency to revert back to the age that the trauma happened. Both in mannerisms and attitude, reverting to a childlike state is rather common with extended molestation. And I think that's probably what happened to her previously. Whatever happened to her at a party somewhere where somebody groped her, I don't think it was Kavanaugh. I think that maybe something like that did happen to her. I think there's a lot more that happened to her before that. You don't get the level of trauma where you need multiple exits in your house in order to feel safe from just somebody groping you. The level of her language, her attitude, and her testimony indicates to me that I suspect probably a stepfather, maybe an uncle or a brother or somebody really worked this woman over when she was really young. Now, there's something that happens at a puberty and it lasts until about age 25. It's an enzyme. It turns on. You got to think of it like a woodsman. He goes through the forest of your mind, chopping down the underbrush so the mighty sequoias can grow. Before this age, a lot of people, when they're kids, they go, wow, time seemed to take so much longer when I was a kid. Now that I'm older, time flies by. The reason is because before this enzyme turns on, you remember everything. Your brain is a sponge, picking up every little detail. So when you think back to your childhood, your brain only can process so much information at the time. So it seems like everything's going slower. It seems like everything takes longer, but that's just because you're dealing with so much more information. As you get older, this enzyme goes through and gets rid of, deletes memories in your head. Now, Miss Ford, as far as I can tell, believes in psychoanalysis. That means she's a Freudian. And if you're a Freudian, you don't believe any memory is ever lost. It's just suppressed. The human mind never forgets everything and everything's there. But I will tell you, the research on this enzyme is incredibly detailed. And it's pretty clear. You are deleting memories. Your brain goes through and says, oh, don't need that. Don't need that. That's worthless. And if the enzyme doesn't turn on, it seems to be a strong indicator of whether or not you're going to develop schizophrenia. And then at age 25, it shuts down. There's a lot of stuff that it'll delete. The problem is the criteria seems to be kind of wacky. It can delete anything, but it usually tends to stick with stuff you don't think about a lot. So if you're deliberately trying to avoid thinking about something, let's say you don't want to think about the fact that your stepfather molested you, there's a good chance the enzyme might target that. Now, memory storage is kind of funny. You don't have a snapshot. You don't have a video camera. When you experience something like this moment right here, my words coming to you are chopped up. There's the sound of what I'm saying, but the words and the concepts get stored somewhere else. Any smells you might be experiencing right now are stored separately from how you feel. And unfortunately, explicit memories govern our preferences, and implicit memories, which are the created ones, govern our prejudices. So if you want to feel about something, your mind goes to your explicit memories.
Well,
I'm going to expand on a concept. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to kind of not butt in here, but additionally add that when we're children, we physically move faster. Everything we do is faster. It's for the layman out there, it's very much like if you go back, and I'm going to use musical references here. If you go back and listen to the very first Megadeth album, and you listen to some of the guitar riffs that Dave Mustaine and Chris Poland put down on the "Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good," that's very high speed, and that when that enzyme goes away, and our bodies adjust to what we perceive to be our daily life, we end up not behaving like, but we end up going to the speed of Donnie and Marie on the exact opposite, where that's where we seem to understand that time goes by faster because we are technically moving slower in a way. And
it's not just slower, but we're retaining less information. Our brain.
Well, yeah, we have to retain less information. It's not because we're not flexible. The brain is always malleable. It's and that's why some of the people that don't get Alzheimer's when they're older is because they're always consistently learning new things. It's the fact that we decide what is to help us survive and what to help us not survive. If we keep everything, like my brain automatically does what I call, you go and you empty your trash on your computer. My brain does that every night because it's like, what is this to survive and what is this not to survive? I'm a person. I'm going to give a little personal information about myself. My body has been stuck in what is called survival mode for the past 43 years. And if anybody knows anything about that, that's not a good thing. But as part of who I am and part of my genetic makeup, and probably why my kid is in the military and doing exceptionally well, because she's inherited some of that. But that's kind of what we have to do to survive. We say, I don't need this, I don't need this, yes, I do need this, and yes, I do need this. And that's oddly enough why we will see things or have certain smells kick off things that are dormant in our brain for memories. And I think a good visual representation of this, and some people can disagree, that's fine, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I think the movie Inside Out is a very good physical representation of this if you want to know early childhood development about, and it's a movie, it's an animated movie, CGI movie, but still it's very poignant about how to understand your kids in a way, and that we all go through the same thing, and that when we reach a certain age, our brain and body start doing certain things, and yes, emotions do have a lot to do with it. That's just my 2 cents.
All right, thank you. At any rate, moving on to the concept of the emotional palate. When you're young and you don't have any experience in life and you experience an emotion, you don't understand the context of it. So usually your emotions when you're young are the strongest emotions you're going to have. And your strongest fear emotion colors your fear from that point forward. Your strongest love emotion colors your love from that moment forward. And your brain will, when it encounters something when you're older and have more experience, to reach back to your emotional palette and pick bits and pieces to try to pick the appropriate emotion for whatever situation you have. So somebody who has a lot of a certain emotion, but never really experiences, say, a healthy amount of love, or never experiences fear, or never experiences rage or hate in the right context, it can severely stunt your ability to react to other things later on. Since we're talking about Professor Ford here, we're talking about somebody who clearly had obviously some sort of trauma. Then her memories, I truly believe she was trying to block out whoever it was that molested her. And then as she got older, it's 36 years later, that memory has an index file that's pointing somewhere, and there's no longer a memory of who it was that molested her. She pushed that out of her head, and it's not there anymore. So what does the index file do? It looks for a new target. And, well, she's hovering. Why didn't this come up the last time that Kavanaugh was being investigated back in 2012? because whatever was going on in her life at the time was not making her think about this. Whatever's going on, I don't know what triggered this memory for her, but it triggered her. Maybe it was as little as a smell, but something. And then her brain said, who did this to me? And was trying to find the file, but couldn't. But there's Kavanaugh on the TV. Suddenly she puts 2 and 2 together because she didn't know the guy. And now, unfortunately, and this is where I think where the big problem was, she was then spent 6 days with the lawyer, and then she was ready to testify. I'm willing to bet what that lawyer did is repeatedly went over the story over and over and over. Now, most people don't realize there's two types of memories for any given event.
The lawyer coached her. There's no doubt.
It doesn't. Well, it may or may not, but let's avoid that. Let's talk about the technical aspect here. You can have an explicit memory, the actual memory of an event, but you can also have an implicit memory, which is the story of the event. If you've ever had somebody who tells a story about something that happened to him over and over and over, he may not actually remember the actual event anymore, but he can remember the story just fine. And the problem is the story tends to be more real than the actual event the more you replace it. The trick is, of course, in order to remember the actual original explicit event, is you don't start with the story. You've got to start usually with locational data. The mind is really good at keeping locational data, like the arrangement of a room or where you live or the arrangement of streets. If you start from locational data and then try to remember that way, you usually can go to the actual explicit event itself. I saw that interview and it was thoroughly random. There would be 5 minutes of some Democrat talking about themselves, trying to sell themselves politically, and then it would go to the Republican who would defer to some woman who wouldn't even ask about what happened, but ask about something that happened 3 months ago. And I understand what she was doing from a legal point of view. She was trying to establish if this woman was credible by trying to go after more recent memories. But that's neither here nor there. This lady has clearly sent that letter originally because she had some sort of memory trigger that brought back the trauma. She sent that letter in order to try to deal with her emotions. She was not looking to torpedo this guy. She didn't want to get involved. She wanted to be anonymous. And then these political monsters took her letter, leaked it to the press, dragged this woman into it. And that's why you got all that nervous laughter. It isn't that she thinks she's lying or anything like that. She truly believes everything she's saying. The problem is she's been forced to repeat it so many times. Her memory is now exclusively on the implicit side. I doubt she even remembers the original explicit event anymore in any detail. And what is she going to do? I mean, she's clearly in a position where she does not want to be there. She did not. This was to try and help her own mental trauma. This was not a political move on her part. I believe that 100%. The problem is that the people she decided to reach out to, they didn't give a fuck. They just wanted to take her, drag her in front of the cameras. And the moment Kavanaugh either gets approved or disapproved, they are going to throw her away. And that is what disgusts me about all of this.
No, what disgusts me about all of this, though, is that she did try and torpedo his career. She tried the whole damn time. And yeah, the Democrats took it and ran with it. Of course they did. What else are they going to do? Politically, that's the only thing.
But she never wanted the letter released. She never wanted to come out in public on this. So how can you say she wanted to torpedo this? She got caught up in this. She felt she had an obligation. I'm certain that after it got released.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
If she didn't want anything released, then she shouldn't have fucking sent it to anybody then in the first place.
Especially Diane motherfucking Feinstein. Are you kidding me? Diane fucking Feinstein?
Oh yeah, she's a fool.
That's who you're sending it to?
She was a fool.
Fuck off.
No.
I believe this woman is a fool. I believe that she is really, really screwed up. Okay? I think she needs to be committed.
That's the same as like, you send your fucking your nudies on your fucking telephone to fucking Penthouse, and then wonder why they end up in the next fucking issue. Oh no, fuck! Oh no, I didn't want anyone to see the nudies on my phone, on my telephone. You fucking sent them to fucking Playboy, you stupid dumb bitch cunt.
I mean, to be fair though, they sent it to Playboy. Playboy would have they'd have to request some sort of authorization to show like nude pictures of yourself.
Yeah, but here's they would Playboy would treat you better than that bitch Democrat.
Yeah,
but I want to say this. I don't think she was mentally fit to give testimony.
No, she wasn't.
She was not mentally fit.
No, not even remotely.
Fit to give. No, not even remotely. This entire process is just awful for her. She was in no condition to give this. She is not mentally fit. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to slam her. It's because people are trying to slam her, and I'm like, stop slam. This is not deliberate. She's actually crazy. She is not meant to. She should be committed. She needs a good 6 months of intense therapy because she is fucked up. I've seen what other people are like her with that reversion thing. Those people, they commit suicide. Okay, we got to keep those. The same symptoms she has are the people who we watch like a hawk that are the ones most likely to kill themselves.
Well, there are reasons why therapists go to therapists. It's not because they can't do their jobs well. It's because when they deal with people who trust in them, they have to go to a therapist to keep themselves in check. And I'm going to go on record and say I didn't trust her from day one, and my daughter even called me from Guam saying, we're getting all this over here in Guam. And I said, why? And she goes, well, that's, stuff we do. And I said, okay. And she goes, she's nuts. And I said, sweetie, what do you mean? She goes, she's a psycho. She's in psychology. And I'm like, yeah, but she's not a therapist. She goes, well, we got people over here that are psychotherapists that are just in psychology by themselves, and they work with people. But if they don't work with somebody themselves, they're completely untrustworthy. And I said, that's a very good point. And I watched the whole thing, and I just was like rolling my eyes. I couldn't believe this crap. And I said, she may not be a psychotherapist, but she needs one because of the field that she is in. And it's not because she's insane. It's because she literally is off the hinge. And so the Democrats, and let's just be honest, the Republicans were not doing all that great on this neither. They're all a bunch of rhinos and shit. And I'm not pulling political sides here, but they're both barraging each other.
No, I mean,
the Republicans were barraging her. The Democrats were barraging him. And I said, this is a farce because Kavanaugh is getting bushwhacked and Ford is getting bushwhacked, but she's getting bushwhacked because that's what the Democrats want, and they knew the Republicans would do it. This is just a travesty. She is off her hinge, and he's getting, basically kicked in the nads. End of story. And it's a joke.
I mean, that's. Go ahead.
My point of view is it's if she didn't want anything to come out, then she wouldn't have released the note in the first place. She wouldn't have let anyone see it if she didn't want anything to be done about it. And
if she was sane, I would agree with you. But you got to understand, this is not somebody who's sane. This is not somebody thinking logically. This is somebody who suffered trauma and is trying to work through it. And yes, they're doing it poorly. She never should. If she was sane and smart, she never would have sent the letter. She sent that letter because in her head, she was trying to deal with something. She never should have. Somebody should have stopped her. Although I go back to what I said on before, which I'm going to repeat here, which I think is she needs the past 6 months investigated. Like, I want to know if she was talking to the DNC like before.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Or what I'm taking from it is simply that a bloke's about to get fucking into a high place and, big high part of respect and all this kind of shit and lots of money, and a woman's coming along and going, oh, he's an asshole because behind the scenes he does this, and well, all of a sudden this woman comes and says, oh, back when I was in school, he grabbed me on my boobie or some shit like that. Like, it's very convenient, the timing and all this kind of stuff. So I'm just saying it's just fucking smear campaign bullshit. I've lost fucking interest in the subject before I started talking too. So
I got you. Now, I believe, Wendy, you think that Kavanaugh's a scumbag and he shouldn't get put in. What do you think? I want you to repeat your point from before. Are you still there, Wendy?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here. I apologize.
Yeah, you talked before that you didn't trust the guy, and I was just wanted you to repeat your point from before, because back before it crashed.
Crap. Fuck me, I don't remember.
Or you don't remember.
I don't remember exactly what it was I had said, like why I didn't trust him. Oh, yeah, now I remember. Sorry. It was because like I don't understand why you'd be so against an investigation of any kind. Like, just at least prove you're innocent.
Well,
like, if someone's gonna sit here and mudsling you this hard, be like, no, go ahead, look at all my dirty laundry. There's nothing there. Have fun.
Oh, well, I'm going to give you a personal example because there's been a development since the last time I mentioned this to you. I personally have been accused of gang raping a woman by myself.
What?
That's right. I am the first person ever charged with solo gang rape.
Are you
the client in question was a schizophrenic.
The multiple
no,
man.
No. Oh, no. It gets worse.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Now, this woman who was a schizophrenic who was refusing her medication accused me. I got suspended from work, lost a week's worth of pay. And about, was it 2 months, maybe 3 months ago, I got called up by the cops who were asking me some odd questions. And then they eventually asked me for an alibi. And I said, why the hell are you talking to me at all? And the response is that because she accused me once, I'm on their little watch list where if they ever the description of white male in his 40s comes up, they might contact me just to verify it wasn't me.
And how many white males in their 40s live around you? I'm serious. No,
yeah, but here's the thing. No. How many 40s white males who were formerly accused of gang rape?
No, I mean,
see, that's the reason why I'm on the list.
That's such a bland description of a white male in his 40s. That's like fucking saying it's an African-American male in his 20s. And like, all right, dipshit, that describes how much of the fucking population?
But my point is that the very investigation that eventually cleared me is what has resulted in me being on this little list where every once in a while they're going to call me up just to get an alibi.
I would, you know what I also say? Oh, by the way, you can talk to my lawyer and we're going to talk about damages. Because
she's a ward of the state. What am I going to get?
No.
She's got nothing.
I'm talking about the police. If you've been formally cleared,
just doing their job.
Doesn't matter. They know. Why are they calling?
Because they just want to see if there's an alibi. That's all.
Oh, well, see, that's harassment. If you've already proven your innocence in the case.
No. You might. It feels like harassment, but it technically isn't.
Well, technically, depending on what I don't know what.
I used to be I used to be a bill collector. Trust me, I know exactly where the line is on harassment.
In the state of Iowa, when you have been cleared on a charge, they cannot consistently come after you and ask you, "What were you doing at this time? What were you doing at this time?" It's like, hey, you know what? There's this corner. Go stand in it. Do not bother me.
Oh, it's a new charge.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay,
right? No, they're not saying it was the same thing over and over and over because that'd be like double jeopardy. You can't do that.
That's okay.
It's like
it's not the same thing over and over. It's just that somebody else, not naming me, but somebody else brought up that she was raped. Okay. I didn't get the details, but she was raped, and part of the description kind of met me.
Okay,
so
that's
they
completely
just called
different.
me up just to see
on that. Because the way it was being presented,
it's not the same thing over and over.
What are they continually trying to do double jeopardy or some shit?
Nah.
All right, fair enough. Because that's to me what it sounded like.
But no, I think Kavanaugh is being railroaded here by the Democratic Party, and even if you get an allegation and it's never followed up on, that ruins your public perception. No one's going to trust him as a Supreme Court justice over this bullshit, which it seems to be utter bullshit.
Do you know why they're trying to railroad him, Mad Dodge? It's because he's a constitutionalist. Rhinos and hardcore lefties do not like constitutionalists. He's a constitutionalist, whether he's a Republican Party or he's a liberal party, he's a constitutionalist. This pisses people off more than anything because he will look at it by the most resounding letter of the law as much as possible and saying, nope, it doesn't work. Nope, this doesn't work. No, this doesn't work. So all these things, plus, as I mentioned on Twitter, this is the last gasp of the Clinton dynasty dying very slowly for a little thing called Ken Starr. Amongst other things, they're trying to get their revenge on something that they have no stake in.
Yeah, and I want to see somebody that's more like Scalia back on the Supreme Court. I don't want a far leftist on the Supreme Court, and I want Ginsburg to fucking retire. She needs to get out of there.
The most effective Supreme Court that America can have is equal representation in regards to both parties on, half and half. That's the only way you can do it. Problem is, everybody wants to be a little crybaby and think it's their sandbox and say it's all this over here and all this over here. Ginsburg does need to retire simply because of an age thing, not because she's a bad person, but because she is older than my parents. And my parents are 75 and 76 respectively, saying, you know, she sounds like she's losing it. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, she sounds like your grandfather when he was at the beginning stages of Alzheimer's. And I said, oh, shit. Yeah, why is she still working? And I said, I don't know, lifetime position. They go, well, she needs to go because she sounds like she's losing it. And when my parents are saying this, it's not because, and you gotta understand, my parents are old school Democrats, you know, not neo libs or any of this other bullshit. They don't even like 99% of their own party. They didn't vote for either one of them. And they're saying that when you become you're getting mentally incapacitated to do any job, you should not be in the position regardless of what that job is, because you're going to hurt yourself or you're going to hurt somebody else. It becomes a liability to your own health, mental or otherwise, and then it starts taking other people with them. Boy, he must be having bad reception tonight.
Yeah, what the fuck? This is the second time.
Well, he'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I created the stream for him. He should be back. No, if you can't even stay awake during a whole trial, and you're a Supreme Court justice, how about you go home? All right, I get it. Maybe once you're hungover or something. I can understand that. But she's fallen asleep consistently on the bench. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, she's literally falling asleep, and it's kind of like you can't trust the person's judgment to make, you know, basically historical decisions if you're taking a freaking nap because you're tired. I'm still on medical leave from my job, and the president of the place that I work at, we've caught him falling asleep in the middle of meetings, and he's the one who calls us all in and basically says, "All right, I need you guys in here to do this," and and he addresses each section of the plant of the print factory by and then he'll call us in, and and I'm like, I'm basically middle management, and then I got my supervisors and their supervisors and all this stupid shit. And we're sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, I want to talk to you guys about," and I just look at my boss. I said, "Oh my god," I was like, "I swear to God, they're gonna be waiting for us with pitchforks right about now," because what we have to deal with is a guy who's in his late 60s falling asleep all the time because of this fucking medication. Not because he's an idiot or anything. He knows what he's doing, but because of his medication. And we have to go out and tell the people that are, not management that, yes, we're trying to make sure that your health care is taken care of, that if you need paid days off, they're taken care of, while keeping morale up and dealing with this and getting the product out because of the people that we have the contracts with. He's falling in the middle of sleep, and it's like, okay, so what do I tell these people? They're literally going to be waiting for us with pitchforks right now, going to kill us. And it's like, I don't need this shit. I broke my fucking leg again. I have other things to deal with. I don't need to be telling people beneath me saying, yeah, guys, we didn't get anything resolved because he fell asleep. Oh, by the way, you're fired. Gee, thanks.
Well, no, and to loop this back around to Kavanaugh, okay, I watched that hearing. He came out fiery, and at a couple points, he almost looked like he was going to cry. Wendy, I don't believe he did this. Why do you believe he did?
I mean, I don't know, probably for me it's more because I've had that happen to me, and I don't know, I feel like it's not something that you throw around lightly.
No, it's not. It's life-threatening to both parties. And this has been proven, Gwen, yes, just by people's diverse reactions to one or the other. It's been life-threatening to Dr. Ford, and it's been life-threatening to Judge Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I do want to say this. There's a part of me that almost doesn't want him to become the next SCOTUS, because I want him to run for frickin' president. We know more about this guy than anybody else on the planet. We've seen a frickin' proctology exam of his life. The man remains cool under pressure. Even after 8 years of grilling, he still answers, law questions like he had the entire frickin' law books, every one of them memorized. The guy is a machine. And to be honest, if the accusations of somebody who suffered emotional trauma 36 years later is probably of course, there's, what was it? He's the mastermind of a rape gang that's raped 10 women. That was that other accusation that came out. Remember that one?
Was that the one where the lady said she was 19 and he was 15? Yeah, who's raping who there?
Yeah, they would drug on 10 different occasions. They drugged women, and then they had like rape trains to rape these women. And this woman who's 19, like, kept going to the party over and over, apparently to watch. So, I mean, it's like the accusations that are coming out against this man are so over the top insane. And there is no collaborating evidence. The 4 people who, Professor Ford said were there, they all said never happened, and they swore under perjury of felony, like they're willing to commit a federal crime in order to say nope, none of that happened, or I have no idea what this woman's talking about. That situation never happened, including her best friend. So when you have 4 witnesses against 1, I have this tendency to believe the 4 witnesses in light of there being no other physical evidence regarding this. But as I said before, Kavanaugh, I wish that guy would run for president. That guy he's exactly the kind of high-end intellect that we do need leading this country. So if he gets to be SCOTUS, I mean, see, this is also the thing here. If he actually was the master of a gang of rapists who raped over 10 different women, you don't stop that. Okay, that isn't something that ends 36 years ago. I deal with sexual predators here at my job when they come through from Hutchings. They're almost always spending every moment obsessing about what they can't do. That does not sound like Kavanaugh. He had a lobotomy or something if this is what he's did, because he's had such a radical change of personality. So, but no, that's all just me here. The guy's a trooper. I'll give him that. I got a great deal of respect for the man considering what he survived. But do I believe that Ford was molested? Oh, yes, just not by him. I know there's somebody out there, and that's part of the problem also what disgusts me. I know there's somebody out there. I know there's somebody who molested this woman, and they did not stop with her. Nobody who's done whatever they did to her would stop with one girl. They kept on doing more, and they're still out there, and we're ignoring that person in order to go after this guy. We should, but that's just me. That's really what I wanted to bring up on the topic. I have nothing else to say on it.
Another thing is that we technically live in the age of an age of transparency, unbeknownst to human history, past or present, to where it's almost to where everybody knows everything about everybody that knows everything that they shouldn't know. And this stuff that happened was in the early to mid 80s, when things were more about the most opaque in modern human history. Having lived through the 1980s, I had 4 friends, all their parents got divorced. I didn't know any of this shit until I was in high school. It's like, what, your parents are divorced? Yeah, they divorced like in 1987. I'm like, what? Where the hell was I? Oh, you were right there. And it's like, okay, I don't remember that. So to be out of 5 people, the only guy whose parents are still married 55 years later, it's in this day and age, it's such transparency, and it's some scary shit's coming out. And that's, why people are acting the way they're acting, because it's not like the 1980s to where you could cover shit up and not leave a paper trail, let alone an electronic one for people to find. Especially with a generation that is technologically superior and more advanced to the ones previous to it.
Well, unfortunately, however, we have 65 women from his class that all signed a letter stating that nothing that he has been accused of has ever come up. None of them have ever heard anything, and they all were willing to swear that they thought he was a perfect gentleman.
Exactly. And those 65 ladies saying that, if that doesn't leave a shadow of doubt in your mind, then I really don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm coming simply from the perspective of having a daughter. My daughter is 25 years old. I've talked about this multiple times. She is a member of the LGBTQ, and I've had things to deal with on that level where people would call me a homophobe, and then my daughter would have to stick up for me. It's like, yeah, go ahead, go get him, Tiger. And so everybody, I love this shit where, and I'm sorry, Gwen, I'm not trying to be rude here because you are the only woman here, but when somebody says to me, well, what if it was your daughter? I said, yeah, go ahead, try that shit with my daughter. She'll kill you. Well, yeah, I doubt that. No, she's militarily trained, and she's had, and I've already received reports from certain people saying, well, somebody tried to get funny with your daughter, and say, well, what'd they do? And I said, oh, do I got to fly over there and do something about it? No. She floored them. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Good. Thank you for, reassuring my faith as a father, saying, I'm glad my daughter went to the military.
I mean, not all women are like that, though.
Exactly. And that leads me to my next point of, is this, in a way, failed parenting? I'm not trying to take it down that road, but as parents, we mold our children and how they behave. We lead by example.
Who's the failed child here?
Well, that's the question I'm asking. And that's open-ended.
No, I'm going to throw in my theory, which, judging from my experience with past clients, that she probably was molested by a relative before this whole event occurred, even in her head. I mean, this is something that had to have happened for years. You don't develop the symptoms she has without the cause that I've seen with everybody else. And I've probably seen a half dozen clients who have all exhibited that same regression to being childlike when trying to remember the trauma. It's I mean, when I was looking at it, I was like, my God, I've met her like at least 3 or 4 times. I mean, I truly believe it. And whoever it was got away with it. Okay, they got away with it.
Gwen, you deserve massive kudos for putting up with us being the only woman on this panel.
But I mean, that's my only thought on the matter. I mostly just wanted to talk about Kavanaugh. I had a couple other weird topics to bring up, but to be honest, they're all just silly stuff. So I'm kind of done unless you guys wanted to talk about other stuff.
Well, yeah, I wanted to continue with Kavanaugh a little bit. When the hell did Lindsey Graham become a pod person? I can't believe I actually fucking cheered a Lindsey Graham statement. Like he was fiery, man. Like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, this whole thing. I mean, when a nominee for the Supreme Court has to admit under oath when he lost his virginity, we've gone too far. Okay, there's never a need to do that. There's nothing to do with being a Supreme Court judge. Nothing. No, but in this case, we had to.
It's an attack of integrity as well upon his family. A lot of people are not talking about this, but it's like, well, how the hell do you think his wife feels to be hearing this shit? I can't speak for Mrs. Kavanaugh, but it's the point of, as an outside observer, I say, the person that I genuinely feel bad for is his wife, not because of my feels. It's kind of like, my God, you guys are such, not you guys here. You guys know I'm not talking about you. People are such vicious bastards that they're willing to destroy anybody's reputation without the consideration of, I have no respect for humanity, so fuck Mrs. Kavanaugh's feelings or her persona, because she's dealing some shit on her own and she's not talking about it, which is A, good for her, B, good for us.
The few remarks that I've seen on the internet about her is that people were telling her, why are you with that rapist? Why are you defending him? I believe there was somebody was like trying to contact their daughters saying that your daughters should get raped so that you know what it feels like. I mean, what level of fucked up? And I understand it's the internet. Nobody ever intends on going through with this shit.
That's also another sign of failed parenting. There are a lot of people that I do not get along with on the internet, but I am not going to personally attack their family. I mean, if I don't Eldritch, if I don't like you, I'm going to take it up with you. And that's because my parents raised me. If you got a beef with somebody, you take it up with them and not their family.
Well, we're dealing with something. We're dealing with a new, I don't know what. It's like a new paradigm for the Democrats where there is literally no bad tactics. Nothing is sacrosanct.
Did you guys see that? Along that line, did you guys see that tweet where that asshat was basically saying, it was basically saying go out and harass people, confront them in the streets, confront them in the restaurants, confront them here, confront them there. And I'm like thinking, You're basically telling people on a tweet to sow fear and discord. And what you fail to realize is you do that to certain people, they're going to put you into a grave. Because there are other people that exist on this planet that will say, I don't give a shit what political affiliation you are. You come up and you bother me. You harass me. You harass my family. You're done. And it was like, well, you can't say that. That's violence, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, that's the reality of the situation. You go up and you go, yeah. So you know what the tweet I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah. What's her name? The woman who looks like she's leather from the age of Noah.
I thought that was a dude, but it's because there's like a list, and it's just kind of like, you know, and I was just thinking, you know, if I go out and eat dinner by myself, or I'm with some friends or something, and a woman comes up to me and says, and you know, oh, what are you, conservative? I'm like, yeah, and you know, and they try to give me shit about it. It's like, lady, you got about 5 seconds to get the fuck away from me. Well, my boyfriend's here, and it's like, okay, I'll take care of him, and then I'll have you escorted out. They don't like that kind of response because, well, you're threatening. It's like, no, you violated my personal space first and foremost.
Okay, well,
you caused the scene in a restaurant. So how am I supposed to deal with it?
Anyway, there was some.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, though, because you shouldn't do that.
Oh no, well, I mean, public harassment is, if you're resulting to violence, you've lost the argument. So, but there was something else that Mad Dodge wanted to bring up, and I forgot what it was. Or did you bring it up?
I was just talking about Lindsey Graham actually being a pod person, which is weird. His respect level actually jumped up in my eyes a little bit. Feinstein is horrible, but you know, that's what I really took away from the hearing. I believe he will be confirmed. What do you guys think?
I think that Jeff Flake's predictability level is at an all-time predictable level.
Well, here's what I think is actually happening here. And I think the Republicans did want an FBI investigation, but they didn't want to be the ones to actually call it. And the reason why is because then it stretches out this debacle another week. And if you're looking at the polls, this has been great for the Republicans. Everybody is disgusted by what's going on, and all of them are going, this is the Democrats' fault. Yes, there's the usual 15% of the population. The moment that they hear that there's a woman accusing a man, the man is already guilty no matter what. I got that. But there's the damage is already done. The longer they drag this out, the closer we get to the midterm elections, and the more this is going to stay fresh in everybody's mind. And the fresher this stays in everybody's mind, the more people are going to go, you know what? I just can't stand the way the Democrats acted. They won't vote on principle. They won't vote on, they'll vote on the fact that they just like, I don't want to see this anymore. And I think that's the plan. And I think Jeff Flake, unfortunately, is going to be the fall guy in this matter. But he's not running for re-election, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. That's why I said his predictability level is at an all-time predictable level. He's not running for re-election because he pretty much got his ass kicked out or handed to him, whichever way you want to look at it. And he's basically doing it for the attention. And then there's the flip side of that, where there's that infamous, now to me, infamous photo of him in the elevator with that woman walking out that threatened him prior to anything else that he had to say in regards to this whole deal with Dr. Ford and Kavanaugh. It's kind of like, okay, he's been compromised. I couldn't trust him any further than I could throw a 10-ton rock. Not that I could trust him in the first place. I mean, thank Christ I'm not from Arizona, because if that idiot was representing me, I would have helped vote his ass out a long time ago. We have the same thing here in Iowa with this, with a few certain people.
He's only served a single term.
Single term is too many terms for some people.
Yeah,
Jeff Flake. When did you sneak in, MC?
Just now.
Hi, MC.
Hi, how's it going?
Any rate, anybody else wanted to bring up anything about this mess? Did you want to actually deal with any other weird stuff I dragged up, or try to move on to some more happier topics, or you guys want to wrap it up?
I got a happy topic. After having a fucking broken ankle for the last 6 months, I actually made it back to the gym today and busted 600 some calories off on the elliptical, which a lot of people was like, oh, that's all. It's like, no, fucking being a cast for 6 months, that's great. So yay me.
We'll see how you feel tomorrow.
I'm feeling it right now. What are you talking about?
I'd just laugh if we had more commentators and viewers at the moment.
Oh, it's been fluctuating up and down, but that happens.
Yeah, I was actually asking Mad Judge, because I just knew I was like needing to stay up till midnight tonight Central Time, because like I did such a big workout for the first time in like a couple months. You know, I've been weightlifting and stuff, but it's kind of like I got to get back to elliptical. And it's like, oh, are you doing anything? He goes, well, I'm thinking about doing something. And then I find out he was on Eldritch's stream, and then Eldritch lost it because whatever the technical issues was going on. And then we bopped over here, and it's kind of like, and it's like, oh, what the fuck did I walk into? Oh, the Kavanaugh thing. Yeah, great.
Well, we can talk about the tsunami and the hundreds and hundreds dead in Indonesia.
No.
Boy.
It's funny how normally that would be top-rated news, but
oh yeah,
Kavanaugh is still dominating everything.
The only time that the loss of life isn't top-rated news is when it's autistic virtue signals screeching on either side of the political spectrum.
Fuck the Indonesians.
They had it coming. They had it coming. They clearly had it coming.
No, well, the Boxing Day tsunami, we went and had this big donation drive for them and all this kind of shit, and then with two of the Bali Nine the two of the ringleaders of it, they went, and in the protests we were saying, but we gave you all this money for the fucking the Boxing Day tsunami, and then they went on a donation drive to gain money to throw it back at us and say, well, if you basically saying fucking here, we'll have it back. Fuck you, we didn't want your money in the first place. So you're going to have a lot of people out here saying, well, fuck them. They're going to be like that. Fuck them. They've got the money. They already told us. Fuck them.
Well, I want to go into a related note here. Agushi has selling now a $380 swimsuit that you actually cannot swim in. It is made of material that will dissolve if exposed to chlorine. So right there on the list for this, $490 Gucci brand swimsuit, it says, we advise that you do not wear it to swim.
Isn't that going to really scummy?
Why would you buy a swimsuit and not go?
Because it says Gucci across the front.
Isn't it?
But that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So are we gonna get the knockoffs that look Gucci-ish, that say that they're Gucci, that actually do let you go into the water, and that way you know they're fake, but they work?
By the way, you can't buy it anymore because it's sold out.
Isn't that
gonna just one?
Oh no, they had thousands of them. They just went poof. They left.
Isn't that going to get a really scummy gusset after a little while?
When I read that, I was like, what the hell?
If it can't go near chlorinated water, and it means you can't wash it.
That's a good point. How are you going to wash it?
Do you want to talk about Hungary news?
That's very true. How the hell are you going to wash something that can't even go in chlorinated water? It's not that water in your washing machine is chlorinated, but duh, you've got to use detergent.
Yeah, it's just how high fashion is these days. We gotta. Oh God, it's getting close to fall. I've got to do another.
This ranks right up there with the edible underwear crap.
Well, as long as it's pumpkin spiced, I don't mind.
Anyway,
you go to that joint in California where it's like methane coming out. That's not chlorinated water if you can't drink that shit.
Well, did you guys hear about the EU Prime Minister that wants America to go to war with Hungary?
What?
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yep, Hungary is a threat to international order. The U.S. must act now.
The United States ain't gonna do shit. We ain't got to do shit. We're not gonna do shit. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
I see absolutely no reason for the United States to go to war with Hungary. Why in God's name would we do that?
Because Hungary is a bunch of fascists who voted their duly elected president into office who is defending his borders against the EU.
Yeah, see, the EU thinks it can tell us what to do, and we've basically already decided by saying who we have in the Oval Office right now, fuck you. And they're all butthurt and mad about it. And that's too damn bad. Hungary is our ally. They've been our ally for the longest time. At least going back to the days of World War II against the Nazi regime of Germany. So I'm sorry to say, go fuck yourself. And if they were ever to say, if my daughter were to call me, oh, we're going to go over to Hungary, and it's like, nope, you're unenlisting right now. I don't give a shit. Fucking
I love Hungary. I love Hungary.
It doesn't quite work that way. You don't get to
I know. Shut the hell up. Do not ruin my delusion of grandeur with facts. All right? Fuck you.
How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Honda.
It's the height of I forget who this guy's name. He's got like the silliest name ever. It's like Verderstadt something or other. Guy Verhofstadt something.
It ain't as silly as fucking Angela Merkel. No, there's a fucked up name if I ever heard it. And what's she gonna do about it? Come over to Davenport and sue me? But
this guy's got Trump hair. You know where he's got that hair, the big flop over hair to cover up the bald spot.
So he's been stealing the hair from the rabbits too, huh?
Yeah, basically. I mean,
I'm good with that. You know, it's the hair. That's what rabbits grow hair back really quick, so it's all good.
Well, I mean, we're laughing about it, but there's a part of me that's really scared about that because I know the EU has been trying to make an army of its own, and
they're basically trying to commandeer the blue helmets of the United Nations, and the United Nations is a fucking failure itself.
The problem with them making an army of their own, right, is the fact that you can already see. I mean, it should be quite evident. All right, that any military that they put together is going to be totally inept. It isn't going to be based on any single nation in control, and as a result, you basically just have a collection of I'm going to do whatever I want. That's not the way to put together a workable army. It's never worked that way. So unless somebody sits up and says I'm in charge, and one of those nations says I'm in charge, there won't be a UN army. All right, there may be soldiers that claim that they are, but they're not going to be a true military force in any way, shape, or form. They're not going to have any capabilities to them whatsoever.
And you got to remember, MC, they would probably have to go up against the Chinese army sooner or later. They get their ass kicked anyway. We wouldn't have to do anything.
They'll be sold to the Russians, is what they're going to end up doing.
There's your Russian bots right there.
Well, they might have smart weapons and smart guns and smart missiles, but the one thing they don't have is the smart vibrator. Oh. UC Berkeley touts smart vibrator as one way to address pressing social issues. The new smart vibrator is looking to change the conversation about sex, according to Berkeley News. The vibrator called the Lioness is different from any other vibrator out there.
Is this a real thing?
This is real. It measures force, temperature. It has a gyroscope sensor and accelerometer and connects to an app on your smartphone that helps users designate what has and has not been a, quote, good session.
It's better than being that woman who got her phone stuck up her cooch for 19 some hours.
And the company that has created this product in the app is collecting all the data from online to create an art exhibit called the Artgasm.
What?
What is wrong with the world? Seriously?
Now you know why I was talking earlier about wanting to blow my brains out. Because I have lost all hope for humanity.
Holy
shit.
I wanted to share my pain with you.
Fuck your pain. That confirms my belief that we're never going to be able to retire, Eldritch. We're never going to be able to retire because we're going to be taking care of all the dumb people.
You know what I thought was funny was that Eldritch went and said something about vibrator, and then the next thing you know is fucking straight male says he pops in the comment into the.
I saw that too.
Hey, seriously, fucking
vibrator. Here he is.
He goes, how about the fucking the one that's hooked to the motherfucking chainsaw engine?
I just want to know if I can hook this thing up to like a VR headset or something.
Yeah. Tunnel vision.
You know, I think we need to start a Patreon for Gwen for putting up with this bullshit. That deserves hazard pay.
I would accept payment.
This deserves hazard pay, in my opinion.
I will not say no to hazard pay.
Tiger Lily wants to know how much it costs. I'm guessing it's going on her Amazon wish list. So it doesn't say how much it costs.
No, the article does not talk about where to purchase it or where, but
Hey William, go fuck yourself. I have bigger balls than you could ever.
Have they issued?
Can I do it with something that comes with a gyroscope and an accelerometer?
If you're gonna do the tunnel vision thing, you're gonna have Elon Musk actually doing it, and then every second fucking redneck going,
It just sounds
like,
terrible.
we can't afford the
Let the car drive itself as the dildo drives you.
But I know what to do, Wendy. I'm going to buy you a drink at a cafe, and the cafe in question is going to be in South Korea. Remember that song "Take on Me" by the Norwegian band Aha, which had that weird outline video where the guy was walking around in a sketch line?
Nope.
Well, they made an entire cafe that looks exactly like that video. Everything looks like an outline, from the walls to the potted plants to the chairs you sit in, right down to the mugs that they serve you.
Now there's your cafe 80s, people. Fuck Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, it is incredible. I wish I could show you the picture, but man, the Seoul Cafe called Yungnam Dong Cafe. It looks like you're in a freaking pencil sketch. It's
if
incredible.
You're paying for the airfare, I will not be opposed.
Okay, well that's what the GoFundMe's for.
It's because it's because the word dong is in there,
Wait,
right?
Drew has to come with me though.
Okay, of course.
Yay! Drew, you want to go to South Korea?
I've been to South Korea, so that wouldn't be anything for me.
Why?
Okay.
Apparently, Bob's taking us to a cafe.
Yep. And I'm not going to spend one money on this woman, because there's a woman who got arrested for sheltering and treating pets during that hurricane. Remember that hurricane?
About this story.
She took in over 27 pets and treated them out of the goodness of her heart and out of her own pocket. So, of course, the authorities cracked down on her, arrested her, and charged her with violation of the law.
Okay.
God,
Okay.
Wait. Rails.
Nope. Okay. So I actually, I was talking about this with somebody on Twitter, and they were actually from the area. Like, they knew the lady. She's had a lot of issues with something similar to this in the past. So,
I'm sure, but there's a part of me that goes, you know what? The animals are going to die if she didn't do what she did. So in this one case, I'm kind of with her, even if it is technically breaking the law, which she did. She did break the law.
What law was she breaking?
I would like to know that.
She was treating them like she was acting as a vet when she's not licensed.
So, Jesus.
She wasn't storing them and giving them food and water. She was giving them medication.
You know, and people want to get rid of the entire justice system, and as it is, it's shit like this that makes me believe more now than ever we need to avoid a Judge Dredd type future, because they're going after a woman who's not a vet, trying to take care of animals which have a right to live during a natural disaster. I'm on her side. I'm sorry. Fuck the popo.
I actually have to agree with you, Dave. That's absolutely right. Fuck that noise.
Speaking of fucking and noise, woman faked pregnancy for 9 months to stop partner from leaving her. A 37-year-old woman from Colombia recently shocked her entire community after managing to fake her pregnancy for 9 months and then coming up with a film-worthy story to explain the absence of the baby on her due date. And she did it all to keep her partner from leaving her.
I'm sorry. That's literally like a storyline out of a show I was just watching.
Oh yeah,
that's not even a joke.
Yeah, we got Antonella Santiago Padilla and her partner Victor have known each other since they were 14 years old. Apparently, he wanted to leave her, so she said, "Well, if I can't get pregnant, I might as well just claim to be pregnant and then find a way to fake it for the next 9 months." Wow.
Days like this, I'm glad my daughter's a lesbian.
Well, real quick.
This is why some men go make out.
Seth, real quick. Fucking Tiger Lily, of course she did. I knew she was going to look it up. She looked it up. It's $189 to $199 if you want that.
Why, Tiger Lily? Why? Why do you hate us so much that you would look that shit up, lady? The hell? Get out of here!
It's a $200 dildo.
I don't. You know what? I can spend $200 on. I can spend $200 on some idiot
or is it wireless?
Like a dildo.
Is it wireless? Does it come with Bluetooth? Can you have Bluetooth? If it's Bluetooth dildo, is that like vagina dente? Remember they had what is it? Vaginal dente, where they have teeth in the vagina. You know that old wives' tale. Now, if you've got Bluetooth, is it really that?
Well, if nothing else, you can listen to music while you're getting off.
Shut up, Bird.
I don't know about the Bluetooth, but she said it's wireless, so you can use it on the go.
It's wireless.
Oh my God, we've gone off the rails.
Internet.
Oh my God, we've gone off the rails.
There were rails.
No, not that.
I think we've been in free fall.
Oh, is that what you? Yeah, you know. Okay, let me rephrase that. Oh my God, the string's not pulling on the parachute.
Oh shit, that's funny. But yeah, you can have some mood music. It'd be great. But go ahead.
And the mood music changes depending on how fast you're going. But at any rate, two last stories we're going to bring up as long as we're at it. Spanish minister proposes tax on trying out clothes in stores in order to discourage people from going into the store to try on clothes and then buying it cheaper online. Now, I want to ask you, does it not strike you that if I can't try on my clothes in the store, that I won't even bother going to the store in the first place?
Well, okay. To be fair, if you are of a certain weight, a certain height, and you know what your clothes size is, it wouldn't matter that you would go into a store to try clothes on because you already know what you're going to buy. If you're going into a store to buy clothes, odds are probably 99% that you're going to buy those clothes anyway, and you aren't going to waste your time going online.
No, and guys, I have to ask this question. What the fuck is up with these skinny jeans?
I don't know. I'm a fat ass. I don't have to wear them.
I mean, make a book good.
Well, whatever happened to Jinkos? Remember when that was cool? I knew it was cool.
I remember when those were cool.
Jankos only went so far, Dodge. Like the what were they? The elephant or whatever? The fucking giant. Those motherfucking things were big.
I don't know, man. Jinkos, I could fit a whole 40 ounce in each pocket. It was nice. Good times.
I buy whatever I can find, basically, like in a gutter, or scrounge up at like the third-hand store. I work at a job where people like vomit on me, and I get blood on all the time. I don't buy anything decent.
I know, right?
The funny thing is, I can tell Mad Dodge's generation because his is mine. We had the baggy pants. I wear 505s now. But I had the Jankos. I had the big, giant fucking things. And we ran like silly idiots. But could you imagine trying to run with these skinny jeans?
It's actually pretty easy.
Oh, of course you would know about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, of course she would. Most women have no butt to them in the first place. They wear the skinny jeans.
I have a butt. Thank you very much.
Well, they don't realise that after about 2 or 3 steps, it looks like they've shat themselves.
Exactly.
Okay. I did not know that. I have not observed a lot of that phenomenon. I'm sorry.
Tiger Lily, we don't
Perhaps
like
that's the thing that happens.
Men either. So don't feel bad, sweetie. We don't like skinny jeans on men either. That really brings up some real questions about their sanity.
Oh yeah, skinny jeans on me would not look good. Look like you were trying to pack sausage into like something that was way too small.
All right, well let's turn this on its head. People complain about skinny jeans. All right, all you people out there, go look up fucking bell bottoms. That's basically skinny jeans. Fucking those were the proto skinny jeans. You're welcome. Thanks 1960s. You've proven to suck ass again.
Fucking skinny jeans with flare on the bottom.
Well,
pretty much.
Every time I see some cunt in skinny jeans and I say good day to them, I'm expecting them to turn around and go, "Ha! How you going?"
Indeed. Any rate, I'm going to end on one thing: the death of Star Trek.
Oh,
one more nail in the comment.
No,
it's still dying. There was a man who spent over 2 years creating a complete virtual reality, including the motion thing, glasses, of being able to go around the entire bridge of the Starship Enterprise from Star Trek: The Next Generation, until CBS lawyers came after him and dropped the hammer on him, and basically he had to take it down. I don't know about you, but they're deliberately trying to kill the Star Trek franchise. There's no other reason for it. Because the one thing I remember when I was hanging out with all the people working on Welcome to Night Vale, we were doing fan created stuff all the time. And it's what made it popular. It's what made it the #1 podcast in the United States and in most of Europe. The reason why is because the fans were really into it and always contributing stuff, and everybody was always talking about stuff and was on everybody's mind until Joseph Fink came along, because some of our productions were better than his, and told us that we had to cease and desist. And the moment you went after those of us who were creating shit, everybody said, you know what? I could spend my time on something else. And their podcast dropped from #1 to, I think, like 25th or something. They might be making a comeback recently, but they had to move on to other products. The problem is when you attack the fans, you lose money. When your fans are making fan-created shit, that's free advertisement.
Yeah,
okay?
I've
that's free advertisement for you.
That plenty of times. I was talking to Ren and Igor, and I was talking to them, and I basically said, you know, all these people that are getting so butthurt and bent out of shape over this, and YouTube lets them do it, but that's another subject. It's when people do movie reviews or talk about music, that's free advertising. That basically gets people into stuff that they've never heard of, that they're willing to spend their hard-earned money on in either digital downloads or purchases or actual physical media, that the artist or the person who does the movie say, oh, wow, somebody found out my work. Great. I made a little couple extra bucks here and there, and they appreciate my work, whether they love or they hate it, but they know about my work and they'll be invested in it now. CBS is fucking destroying itself by doing this shit because they're a bunch of legalese dipshits. I would love to see these fuckers in suits go out to every single Comic-Con and tell people, no, you can't dress up as somebody from the original series. You'd probably get more phasers pointed at your dumbass that most likely would work than you'd want not to work. Because the fans, the people that do cosplay are so fucking inventive and creative and can solve these problems in real life, they couldn't fucking imagine.
Well, there's one thing that I want to bring up, because when I saw that, there's something I wanted to double check. Yeah, I did this so you don't have to. I went and dug up, there's this website that does all this fan fiction, and I took the time to go looking through Star Wars /fics. I didn't read them. I was just counting how many there were.
Is there a fanfic where Kathleen Kennedy doesn't exist?
No, but let me finish my point. And then I checked how many we've had in the past year and how many I could find by limiting my search parameters to a single year 5 years ago. And there has been basically a 90% drop in gay porn about Star Wars, sorry.
Did you guys
when you start losing the /fic community, you're fucked. I'm just saying.
Did you?
I don't know why I figured this out, but I did.
Did you guys see that Kathleen Kennedy has a 3-year contract now?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I knew she wasn't going to get fired. Happy cringing.
She's the reverse of Viagra. She is the cure for Viagra. That woman. She just kills the desire to do anything.
Well, and Dade, I'm sure you saw the Razor Fist video. And
no, I missed that.
You didn't? When he was
I gotta catch that, do
I? The Razor Fist video, he's absolutely right. We're fucked.
No, I'm not fucked. I don't give a shit about Star Wars. Star Trek is fucked.
No, the IPs are no. What's going to happen is you're going to have, and then they're going to ruin these IPs. Then they're going to try to move on to something else. But here's what's happening. I don't know if you guys have been following Comicsgate, but those guys raised $2 million in 12 comics. $2 million in 12 comics. So while the old IPs are dying, and they're going to die, and I'm sorry that if you're a fan of them, it sucks. But the new people who recognize what's going on, like the Orville and Comicsgate, those guys are going to be just fine. There is still a market for good writing and for good TV shows. It's just nobody's making them. And if you make them, you can be mediocre and you can still succeed because they don't want to bother with anything else. I mean, I don't think there's going to be this sudden death of culture. It's just that it's going to change hands soon.
It's going to change. And in the meantime, they're sabotaging themselves by doing all this bullshit. And basically, as I've said on Twitter multiple times, this is why I advocate piracy. I don't give a shit if people don't like it. If you want to be a knob about stuff and people want to watch the stuff, go fucking pirate it. That way, nobody gets paid, and you get to do whatever you want with the property. You know, people pirate stuff all the time. Do I approve of it? No. But if people are going to be knobs about it, fucking go ahead. Pirate shit.
No.
Well, in defense of Mad Dodge, the opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the channel itself. So Mad Dodge is not doing that. Please don't ban him.
No, he didn't do nothing.
Hashtag Mad Dodge lives matter.
Anyway, I'm out of topics. If you guys want to bring up anything or talk about stuff that's cool.
You were just talking about Star Trek. You don't think I'm going to type in on that? You've got to be fucking joking. Okay, so what about the fact that one, they're doing the Picard series. That's good. So I'm not necessarily sure. No,
they're bringing him back so they can rape him. You know it. They're bringing back Picard so they can rape him. He will be raped on television in front of us. That is why they. Okay, you know it. I know it. That's what's going to happen. Okay, this is going to be awful. It is going to be terrible. It is going to be a nightmare. It'll be a disaster. It'll be a nightmare about a disaster. Okay.
And they're also handing over a whole movie to fucking Quentin Tarantino. I mean, that would be good. Yeah.
I still trust him.
I don't know why the Picard series isn't just a Picard movie made by Quentin Tarantino, because I would just love to fucking hear Picard actually cuss for once. It'd be nice.
You know what? That might work. Like if Quentin Tarantino was in charge of it, okay. I'll give you the chance that it might work. But it's not. It's going to be a TV series. It's going to be managed by CBS committees. They're going to be, they're not even going to watch the TV show. They're just going to say, our focus group tells us that Picard should have a beard, but it should be shaved on one side.
So you're making him Two-Face. That's weird. But just burn one half of his fucking face.
I actually have no care for Star Trek, but they're fucking up something that people love, and that pisses me off.
They don't give a shit. That's the problem. They just
don't
care.
IP. They're destroying all the past stuff that they can't copyright, and so that they can try and reinvent it. It's part of the reason why they're probably attacking this VR simulation of the bridge because
somebody actually did something better than them, and they're jealous.
And they're jealous. And if they can they figure if we don't allow anything out there, they'll be forced to come to us. No, they won't. They're not going to be forced to come to you. They're forced to do nothing with you.
Well, and not just that, attacking the fans is a very bad move.
Yeah,
but you're all misogynists. We all hate Wendy. Don't you know that? We all hate Wendy because
we adore Gwen. She like I said, she deserves hazard pay for putting up with us.
I feel so threatened.
You invading our male space.
I need an adult.
Help! I need an adult.
No, you.
That's just like
you know what the weird thing is.
That's like I always love to tell people. I get called homophobe all the time. Said, have you met my daughter? No. Well, then shut the fuck up. I've been to gay pride parades in Davenport. I take my daughter every year.
Oh, you don't want to hear about the last time I had to. Okay, I'm going to say this. I was at a Trump rally this black woman starts screaming at us, and I'm just sitting there and smiling and nodding. And then she goes into the old, "You've been a slave for 400 years." And I said,
we
"Really?
haven't been around that long, but whatever."
And then I said, "Really? Well, guess what? A Polak Jew, the Ashkenazi Jew side of my family got rounded up, put into labor camps, so they were actual slaves that got worked to death. Oh, by the way, the parts of my family that survived, when the Russians took over, those guys got rounded up and shot. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have no living relatives left in Poland, and I'm only going back 1 to 3 generations here. So I actually had slaves in the last 80 years in my family." And like did this, and she goes, "So what do you think about that?" And she said, "Well, you look white, so you have white privilege."
Oh yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that kind of shit too. When everybody's like, "Well, you got what? You know, you don't understand the struggle of black folk," and I go, "All right, motherfucker, whatever." And they're like, "Well, don't dismiss me." It's like, look, you little asshole. My grandfather escaped Nazi Germany. What do you got? And they'll bring up white privilege. Like, okay, asshole, I'm Gen X. Like, you think I give a shit? Well, that doesn't mean anything. I say, well, it should. That's why we're called apathetic despondent trust fund babies. They're like, what? And I go, exactly, and I walk off. They don't get it.
Dave, my family is Irish, Italian, and Spanish.
Oh, you're just also messed up.
So you're genetically drunk?
Spanish side, we started fucking Albuquerque. My family was one of the 14 families that started this fucking bitch. And the conquistadors now own this. We came up through Mexico on dead bodies.
Man, we really need to build that fucking wall. What's going on?
So,
that ain't gonna happen.
No, so when motherfuckers sit there and say, "Oh yeah, the Spanish are a minority," bull motherfucking shit. We came into this country kicking ass and taking names.
But you're all white.
Yeah, you're all
Hispanic. You're just white. You're just white like us. You're just white.
White.
You're all white.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the whole Morris contingent. What are you talking about?
No, they're quantumly white. They're quantum white, which means they're white when it's useful, but they're Hispanic when the left doesn't want them to be white. So
exactly, that's like
Heisenberg's race.
You guys ever seen the barbershop movies?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes the very valid point. I think it's in Barbershop too, where they talk about certain black folk and then say, "Oh, but when they do something, it's their white half or something." I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how you see things. I couldn't have written a better script if I tried. That's exactly how people think that. Oh, when something great happens, it's this side of them. And they use Tiger Woods exactly as an example. They say, well, when he did all this, being, a black man, and then when he did this, it was all because of his white heritage or the other side of his heritage, which I don't think he's half black, half white. He's
Asian.
Half Asian.
But
yeah.
right, but you get the general idea. But you get the general idea. It's if he does something good, it's his black side. If he does something bad, it's his other side. And it's kind of like, yeah, that's exactly how people think, and that's rather pathetic.
Or he did something bad and it was a nigger moment.
Oh, jeez.
Oh,
really?
Yeah,
okay.
Somebody had to drop it. Somebody had.
It's nice that you had. It's nice that you had a channel that Mad Dodge. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No
Sorry,
shit.
man. God damn it. My bad.
No, not your bad. You knew better. But anyway.
No, I'm just putting the Boondocks though, because I watched that show. I love that cartoon. It's a good cartoon.
Aaron
I love
McGruder
that
is a
show.
Aaron McGruder
that
is
is a
a
great show.
genius. Aaron McGruder is a genius. He basically does what South Park does, except for in the black community. And he points out the hypocrisy of it all. That's why
Throw a
Boondocks is
chair. Throw a chair.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It doesn't even hit anybody. It just lands on the ground. Everybody stares at it. Then they start beating the shit. I'm like, is this for real? But yeah, apparently it is. But
no, Eldritch, we did this show for you. If you want to wrap it up, then
this is probably a good place to wrap it up. So, all right, it's been real and it's been fun. I'm not sure if it's been real fun, but it's kind of nice to sit here and watch Western civilization burn. I've got a really long stick with a marshmallow on the end, so we're going to be having some s'mores. Any last words from everybody before we head out?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about getting an Amazon link for that smart dildo and putting it in the
You should call them up and see if they will sponsor you. I am serious. Call them up and say, would you pay me money and I will mention you in every live stream. You could product placement. And they should send you one so you could try it out. Then you can give a review.
God damn it.
You think I'm joking, aren't you?
I knew somebody was.
I want Mad Dodge reviews of Deltos. Yes. I will pay good money.
He's now
You're
found a new
pervert.
way. So he's found a new way to get rid of the competition, Mad Dog. Get
I said
invited on
what?
people's streams.
YouTube isn't
over here.
AdSense anymore, so we got to generate money somehow.
I can't believe you, Bob. I thought you were better than that.
You thought wrong.
You're so dirty.
My life is
I'm
a lie.
telling.
My life is a lie.
I'm way too busy laughing here, but I'm looking at the chat. Tiger Lily and Joshua are telling us we need to keep going, but I don't have any more topics. I'll be hanging out in Discord, though, if you guys want to hang out in Discord.
Yeah, actually, I do need to get some work done. I'll probably come back in like an hour or so, but I need
to sleep. I have church in the
Yeah,
morning.
you go get sleep money and you get some church.
Go
Get your God on. By the way,
I will go get my
but I
God
just want to
on.
say, I think Christianity is a great religion. I really do. I thank you for Western civilization, Christianity. 2 thumbs up on that. Really good job. Okay, you've been
Time
to get your Wednesday back on.
I don't think I know you on Twitter.
Yeah, one more thing I do want to throw out there. I have the Duck game in the background. If anybody likes football, Ducks are whooping Cal right now, 28-10, end of the second quarter. What's
Actually,
football?
I don't.
Wait, who you say is playing?
Or the University of Oregon, that's my team, and then
college
we're
team.
Cal.
You know, sometime
don't
I
give a
got
shit
a
about
DM
college.
for you guys. We got to get you all some D&D characters. We're on a D&D campaign for you.
I would gladly
Something really
play D&D.
stupid.
I would gladly
Maybe
play
no,
a stupid
Paranoia.
campaign.
We need to play Paranoia so you guys can kill each other repeatedly.
Oh, that'd
That
be
is a fun
great.
game. Paranoia.
Wouldn't
I
take
haven't played
much.
Paranoia in forever. Remember, what was it? Stay alert. Trust no one. Keep your laser handy. Anything before we head out?
Yeah, let's plug our Twitter channels if we have them.
I've destroyed my Twitter. I've deleted.
Yeah, we know you don't have one, so it doesn't matter.
I do.
This is Captain Dadepool. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Captain Dadepool75 or just Captain Dadepool. My logo will pretty much look almost exactly the same as you see here. And I have a YouTube channel right now, so.
Oh, and always check out I'm Better Than You Is.
Yeah.
MC does some really good rants over on his channel. I've been trying to shill his stuff. MC, you want to tell him what your channel name is?
What do you mean what my channel name is? It's just MC.
It's just MC.
I know. I was being a smart ass. Straight Sit Mail, you're on Twitter, aren't you? I think I follow you.
Hi, Mad Dodge. How do I spell MC's channel?
No.
Shut the fuck up.
EMMESSEE. MC.
No, I'm not on Twitter anymore because I got into a big old fight with fucking Tonka Saw's faggot ass. And all of his minions decided to fuck him with Twitter, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit.
Did you cancel it or did you get banned?
No, I cut it off.
Oh, okay.
I was like, no, I'm not dealing with this asshole.
There's one more bit of news that I don't think you guys covered today, but I may have missed it. Did you guys cover the fact that that Elon Musk has agreed to step down from the chairman of the Tesla board?
I tried to mention that, but it was kind of as a one shot.
Yeah, he's going to be investing in the Lioness.
Yeah.
That's his new project. He's going to
Elon Musk
figure out to deliver it by pneumatic tube.
That's kind of a really
That's his other new project, by the way. He's going to create a process where every home can have pneumatically delivered processed meat. He's going to call it Central Meat. So you can have faucet-based meat directly from your sink. You just turn on the tap and meat comes out.
That's why, Bob.
Pre-packaged spam delivered to your house via tube.
That must have been
Elon Musk's
fucking
meat.
good shit he was smoking on
Elon
fucking.
Musk's meat
Damn
will be
it,
delivered to your
Bob.
house.
I, was-
Kind of like propane.
I have a
I'm too tired
question.
for this. Can't handle none of you bitches. I'm done.
I've got a question on this. Question.
Shoot.
Are they gonna have halal and kosher?
Yes, they're going to have different flavors. It's different taps. There's going to be regular, halal, and kosher meat that you can just.
It's gonna be like going to the bar.
Yeah, it's like going to the bar, except it's
Yay! With meat.
What kind of meat?
Now
Just
with me.
meat.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh so much, but that's fucking hilarious.
I'm sorry. I'm just crazy tonight.
You are just goofier now.
Oh, it's okay.
No, it's mostly because I've lost all hope for the future.
There.
I'm just seeing that fucking Simpsons episode where they go to the Duff breweries and it's Duff Light and Duff Bitter or something like that. It's all coming out of the same vat into 3 different. It's like the same cow goes into the one funnel and then comes out 3 different taps of kosher, normal, and halal.
Pretty much. Actually, my brother-in-law is a dairy farmer, and he tells me don't bother buying organic milk because the truck comes up, fills up with milk for the regular milk, and then right after them, the organic milk truck shows up, and they fill up from the exact same tap, and they don't care because apparently there's no definition of the word organic when it comes to food, other than it has to be edible and not kill you.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, that's why I don't buy organic shit.
I guess we'll wrap it up here. I'll leave it to Mad Dodge to actually shut the stream down because he's got the power and I don't. But hey.